All right, let's dive right into this explainer because there is a massive new financial policy that has parents and grandparents absolutely buzzing. Usually, when we talk about building generational wealth, we picture things that take literally an entire lifetime, like paying off a mortgage or, say, passing down a family business. Rarely do we see this kind of wealth building addressed systematically at the federal level. But recently, a major new program went live that completely flips that script, starting the wealth building process at day zero of a person's life. So today, we're going to parse fact from fiction and give you the exact details you need on this unprecedented initiative.
Let's start with a number that is going to immediately catch your eye. A one-time government deposit of exactly $1,000 for babies. Now, when you hear that, it's pretty easy to just write it off as a small little bonus, right? But to understand the true scale of this policy, you kind of have to zoom out. Multiply that single deposit by the roughly 3.6 million babies born in the United States every single year. That is a multi-billion-dollar annual commitment baked right into our federal infrastructure. It literally makes this one of the most widespread wealth seeding programs in modern history. I mean, you read a quote like the US government is giving away $1,000 per baby, and you probably assume it's just another wild internet rumor. The crazy part? It is real. It's live right now, and yet somehow most parents don't even know they qualify for it. So why the disconnect? Well, massive financial policies like this, they often just get buried in complex tax code updates or they get totally overshadowed by the noisy daily news cycle. While the headlines are busy arguing about a million other things, transformational programs like this can quietly pass and go completely unnoticed by the exact families they're meant to help. So, is this actually real? It is completely natural to ask that. Honestly, we're so conditioned to seeing clickbait these days that a literal government-funded nest egg for newborns sounds, well, like a fantasy. But the answer is absolutely yes. This isn't just a proposal. It's not some draft bill sitting in a committee gathering dust, and it's definitely not waiting on a vote. It is a fully live, active policy. So let's break down exactly how this works, what the rules are, and most importantly, what it means for your family's financial future.
These are officially called Trump accounts. Basically, they're tax-advantaged investment vehicles set up specifically for children, and they're purely designed for long-term retirement savings. You can essentially think of the mechanics like a standard IRA, except, this one starts while the beneficiary is quite literally still in diapers. The core philosophy here is all about the mathematical miracle of early-stage compounding. The goal is to give the next generation just an astronomical head start, letting time and compound interest do all the heavy lifting from the earliest possible moment. Now, the timing of this launch is actually highly intentional and deeply symbolic. These accounts officially opened on July 4th, 2026. By perfectly aligning the launch with the country's centennial, so the United States' 250th birthday, the policy explicitly ties a major historical milestone to a brand new financial foundation for American kids. It's really a way of commemorating the past by directly funding the future.
To really grasp why this matters, we have to separate short-term needs like diapers, daycare, or education from long-term goals like compound growth and retirement. Because this account, it is entirely focused on the long term. Just look at the raw math for a second. If you invest $1,000 right at birth, assuming a historical average market return of around 7%, it grows into roughly $81,000 by age 65 without you adding another dime. But actually, scratch that. Look at the alternative. If you wait until that person is 25 to invest that exact same $1,000, it only grows to about $15,000. The mathematical difference of starting at age 0 is staggering, which is exactly why this whole thing is structured to grow over decades, not days.
Section 1. Who actually qualifies? Let's jump into the specific eligibility rules. All right, to qualify, your child has to hit 4 specific requirements. First, they must be a U.S. citizen. Second, they need a social security number. Third, they have to be born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028. And finally, you must be able to claim them as a dependent. Now, I want to highlight that specific 2025 to 2028 birth date window because it's absolutely crucial to pay attention to. Why such a strict window? Well, it's tied directly to the legislative and budget reconciliation period that this policy was passed under. It acts as a defined initial runway for the program, meaning if you have a kid born in that specific time frame, you are squarely in the target zone. So let's talk about the money and how this actually scales up. Once a child qualifies, the government deposits that first $1,000. But the account isn't limited to that initial seed money. Families, friends, or even employers can contribute up to an additional $5,000 every single year. And that employer piece, that is a really fascinating shift in corporate benefits. We're beginning to see a world where companies might offer newborn matching as a perk, just to retain talent, effectively letting corporations help fund your baby's future retirement year after year. Pretty wild, right?
Now, here's a detail that is going to bring a lot of relief. There is no gift tax filing required for these contributions. This means Grandma or Uncle Bob can just drop in a generous birthday check without having to hire a CPA to navigate IRS gift tax limits. By stripping away all that bureaucratic friction and explicitly exempting these specific accounts, the policy makes it incredibly simple and accessible for extended family to safely build generational wealth without, triggering a random audit.
Section 2, the 18-year lock. Let's look at the long-term rules.
So the magic number for this entire framework is 18. The funds in these accounts are locked tight until the child turns 18 years old. And this is deeply rooted in the behavioral economics of the policy. The government explicitly implemented this log to basically force financial discipline and protect the asset. It guarantees the money cannot be drained by well-meaning parents dealing with immediate family emergencies like a broken water heater or some unexpected medical bill. The lock acts as an impenetrable shield, making sure the asset is preserved entirely for the child's adulthood. So, what exactly happens when they finally hit that 18-year milestone? Once that 18th birthday arrives, the account formally and automatically converts into a traditional IRA. Think about the massive societal impact of that transition for a second. It means an 18-year-old takes ownership of a seasoned, legally protected, funded retirement vehicle before they even step foot on a college campus or apply for their first real full-time job. It completely shifts the starting line for early adulthood, providing just an unprecedented baseline of financial security.
Section 3, how to claim yours. Let's talk about taking action. You basically have two distinct pathways to get this set up. Step 1 is the active route. You can formally elect it by filing IRS Form 4547 alongside your 2025 tax return in 2026. But Step 2 is arguably the most groundbreaking part of this whole shebang. If you do absolutely nothing, the government will still automatically create the account for eligible kids. The shift from an opt-in model, which, let's be honest, relies heavily on a family's tax literacy and access to accountants, to an opt-out or auto-create model is a massive shift in public policy. It's a built-in fail-safe specifically designed to ensure that low-income or marginalized families don't miss out on generational wealth just because they missed a specific piece of paper. The absolute biggest takeaway here is that because of that auto-create feature, your eligible newborn likely already has money waiting in their name right now. You definitely don't want to leave an asset of this magnitude to chance. Taking just a few minutes today to check trumpaccounts.gov and confirm their status can quite literally secure a multi-decade asset for your child's future. It'll give you total peace of mind for sure. So what does this all mean? Does an automatic $1,000 for every newborn totally change how we view the social safety net in America? It's honestly incredible how massive, life-changing financial policies like this can completely fly under the radar. Drop a comment to let us know if this is the first time you're hearing about this deposit and what you think about this major shift. Be sure to verify your child's status today and remember to subscribe to keep learning and growing with us as we break down more complex explainers next week. I'll catch you in the next one.